Here in Quebec, we have been told countless times that if we just cooperate with the sanitary measures, if we just get our vaccines, then eventually life will go back to normal. But we're starting to realize that really no matter what we do, probably life will never go back to normal because they just keep moving the goalposts. Hi everyone, it's Sonia here. So I'm here to give you an update on what's been going on in Quebec, which namely is that they have brought back the restrictions plus more, even though if you look at the statistics, it looks like we're doing okay, especially in Montreal. I'm going to show you the numbers. And you tell me whether you think it makes any sense what our government is doing. Also, we're going to look a bit at the bigger picture of why the Quebec government and others in Canada and in the world are doing this. And I have opened a new Bitchute channel, which I'm going to give you the link below. And I want to let you know that what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload this to YouTube. And if you want like the full version, I'm going to give you the link below, and then you can go watch that and get extra information, which I probably had to omit from the YouTube version. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Please leave me a comment below. It helps with the algorithm. And thank you for your support on Patreon, which keeps my channel going. Also, I'd like to let you know I still have these pouches which eliminate odors by removing viruses, bacteria, fungus, and mold. This is, from my experience, the absolute best way to deodorize anything that you need to deodorize, whether it's a room, it's your car, it's some old shoes, it's a dirty moldy carpet, whatever it is. If it's the room, you just put this in the room or the car, it'll remove odors. If it's a specific object, put it in a bag with one of these, leave it overnight, and you will be amazed what you find in the morning. The smell will be gone. So these are still available through the link below. And it's still 15% off and no shipping and handling, even if you live in Canada. Okay, so let's talk about what's been going on. So first of all, we thought we were coming out of the restrictions and the confinement. Most people were expecting that this would stop once the weather got better and people stopped getting sick. But no, turns out that's not the plan. Quebec is reclosing Montreal gyms. Yeah, they were only open for 10 days. And reclosed again, and the people who bought memberships, which they now can't use, are pretty sorry about that. Curfew in Montreal and Laval has been rolled back to 8 p.m. and lockdown measures have been extended in Quebec City and Gatineau. Our curfew, which, hey, yeah, we're the only people in North America who have a curfew. We still have it. It had been rolled back to 9:30, but now with the good weather, instead of getting rid of it, no, it's 8 p.m. all over again. Also, this is new. If you go from a red zone or an orange zone to a yellow or green zone, you can get a big fat fine. I mean, before it was like it wasn't recommended to go into a yellow zone. I don't know about green zones if you were ever allowed to go there. I think they were off limits. But it wasn't recommended to go to a yellow zone, but you could do it. Now you get a big fine. And I would imagine that pretty soon you won't be able to go from a red zone to an orange zone even. Also, masks are now mandatory outside under certain circumstances, such as if you are doing an activity with other people who are not in part of your own household. People will comply, expecting that this will lead to an eventual loosening of restrictions, but what's more likely to happen is that it will lead instead to additional restrictions, such as that eventually masks will be mandatory outdoors all the time. Just want to point out that last year, this article had been published by Le Devoir, whether a face covering is more of a symbolic than sanitary act. This was the 24th of July last year. Why impose the mask in July and not in March? That was at the beginning of our first wave, of course. Why can it be just any mask, never mind the efficacy? Why is that tolerated? And they say, well, why? Because the wearing of the mask, the mandatory mask, is not so much a sanitary measure, but a symbolic measure. Since this is for YouTube, I feel that I have to clarify that I'm not recommending that you don't wear a mask. But I felt that it was relevant to bring up this opinion piece that points out that since there are no specific rules on how a mask is worn or even what kind of material it's made out of, and considering that the way a lot of people wear them they're not actually medically effective. And for those reasons, largely the mask wearing becomes symbolic. Now, like, that actually makes sense, because let's just take a second to look at this whole thing. Let's say I'm wearing this, okay? I wear it like as I'm supposed to, and look at this. You see, this is all the time like this. Everywhere you go, there's a hole. Even the pharmacist has her mask like this. When I went to the pharmacy, look, down like this. It doesn't matter if it's tight. It doesn't matter if it's actually functioning. You just have to have it on. It doesn't matter how much space you have here, how much space you have here. It doesn't matter how you put it. No matter what you do, there's always a space. And if there's a space, obviously it's not doing its job. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as you got something on your face, you can come in. And that's why they're saying this. If I have to cover my face to go in somewhere, this is what I wear. It's a neck gaiter, and it's extremely thin. You can literally see my face through here. You see that? All my breath comes through. There's holes in there that are so big I could literally stick a sewing needle in them. It serves absolutely no purpose. Zero! On a level of health and sanitation. So it is symbolic. And I do have a medical condition that qualifies me for an exemption, but I have found that the exemption is not respected. But that's for another video. But anyway, why are we doing this? Is the situation so serious here in Quebec? Let's go look at the data. Data on COVID-19 in Quebec. I know you've seen a lot of data. You're probably sick of it, but I'm showing you this for a reason. So we have more confirmed cases. Hospitalizations are up a little. Intensive care is up a bit. I mean, it was at 120 before. This is for the province in general, though. Number of daily deaths. This is in Quebec. This is when they deconfined us last year. Where is it? The 23rd. Okay, we were here. That's how many people were still dying. And this is where we are now. So we obviously have some different standards that we're applying now than we did last year. Okay, here we're on INSPQ, hospitalizations in Quebec. Let's do it by week. Okay, this is when we were deconfined last year. It was like this. This is where we are now. And instead they're bringing in stricter measures. Here's the current curve for Montreal. We are over here. And it is now, at this point, that they're making us wear masks outside, moving the curfew back, closing the gyms again, and adding extra measures. And if you look at, okay, number of confirmed deaths by age group. This is in 2 weeks in Montreal. We have 29 deaths in 2 weeks in a city that is about half of the population of Quebec. 4 million people. We're having like roughly 2 deaths a day. And this is how many cases we have. Here's our curve. It's going down. Doesn't matter. Gyms are closed. Everything's, going back to how it was. And we have to wear a mask outside, even if it's just this symbolic, whatever, chiffon, or it's one of these with the gaping holes. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Still got to wear it. It's insane. So, how to make sense of this? Well, do you remember last year when they said 2 weeks to flatten the curve? We can look back and laugh now. Laugh at our own naivete and stupidity. Oh, how we trusted the government. Yeah. Well, what happened in 2 weeks to flatten the curve? It turned into a month, another month. Here we are a year later. Are you heading outside? Don't forget to put your mask on, eh? Okay, so, here's the deal. They started out telling us 2 weeks to flatten the curve. That turned into a month, turned into another month. At this point, it's a year later. They keep adding restriction. Well, they added the curfew. That's, almost a year into this pandemic. They added the masks in schools, and then in the classroom, and then even in the gym class. Just, tons and tons of measures like this that just actually keep ramping up. And the thing was, they had told people, they had given people the impression, if you go along with these measures, I mean, how many times has Legault said, on va faire un petit effort? Just make a little effort. Je vous demande de faire un petit effort. And it's becoming a running joke now that the people are putting up memes of Legault, and he's like 85 years old, and he's like, je vais vous demander de faire un petit effort. It's for, the next 30 years or what. They keep telling us, make a little effort, please adhere to the measures, and this is the way you're going to get your freedom back. This is the way we're going to reopen. But how is this possible? We've adhered to all this stuff. You can see the stats right here. They're down. Right now, everything's, compared to last year, we're doing okay. And yet, actually, no, we have more restrictions. And the crazy thing, too, is as they've rolled out vaccines here in Quebec, and we actually have almost 25% of the Montreal population vaccinated, which includes most of the seniors. And still, it's not good enough. Adhere to the measures. Get yourself vaccinated. Wear your mask. And you're going to be free, right? Like, if you just comply, this is going to buy you your freedom. It's this promise that if you do what we say, you're going to get your freedom back. But look, we're a year into this, and it's starting to be obvious that whatever we comply with, they just keep moving the goalposts. That's what I'm trying to say. They keep moving the goalposts. Why are they doing this? So that whatever it is that we try to do, it's never going to be enough. And instead of more freedom, we're going to have less. Oh, why would they want to do that? That doesn't even make any sense. Well, vaccine passports are in the works in Quebec, says the minister, despite concerns globally and from Trudeau. The idea of giving citizens passports proving they've been vaccinated is controversial around the world and in Ottawa, but less so in Quebec. Well, maybe among the government, but not among the people, whose health minister said Thursday that the province is going full steam ahead with the idea. Yeah, no, people are not all on board with it. There's actually a petition right now, which if you live in Quebec, I will ask you to sign it. I know I'm going to sign it against the compulsory vaccination passport. See, and they're saying that actually, no, the vaccine is going to be voluntary. But the same way it is in Israel, it's voluntary. It's just if you haven't had it, you can't do anything without it. So that's not voluntary, that's coercion. In Alberta, their premier, Kenny, announces new COVID restrictions as variants surge. So now it's all about the variants. Doesn't matter how well we're doing from our, by our old standards. Now it's all about variants. So what they did, basically, I'm going to show you this graph here. Oh, tons of new restrictions. Like just about everything's closed. Retail services, shopping malls must limit customer capacity to 15% of fire code. And then all this stuff here, this is all closed. And the gyms and the fitness, of course, all the community stuff. Team sports are not permitted. Seriously, it's just like 1984. Nothing is allowed except work, and then you have to do that at home, basically. Restaurants, bars, in-person service not permitted indoors, right? They just keep moving the goalposts, like I told you. Now, here's the path to recovery. So they keep, promising you these things, and there's the carrot on the stick, but they just keep moving that carrot. That's what the carrot does on the stick. You never do reach it, right? So when they keep actually using that analogy of the carrot on the stick, what does that tell you? It tells you it doesn't matter what you do, you're never going to get that carrot. The path to recovery update April 6th. So here are the stages transition. Around 22% immune. By immune, they mean, vaccinated. Stage 1, 48% immune. Stage 2, 64, and around 72% immune. Now here is, if 72% of people are immune, potentially, we're not promising anything, but potentially, look forward to full recovery. K-12 school measures depend on vaccine. What are you saying here? You're going to vaccinate the kids too? No masking, no isolation. That's weird, because so far, people are told that they still have to wear a mask even if they've been vaccinated, but okay. Okay, if you get to 64% immune at stage 2, potentially look forward to no restrictions, fairs, festivals can proceed. Masking and distancing encouraged, isolation rules remain. It's just potential, though. But how much you want to bet they're going to move that goalpost? So basically they're saying never mind about flattening the curve, never mind about the hospitalization rates. Actually, what matters is whether you got 72% of people vaccinated. Potentially, you might have a full recovery and no masking, but hey, we're not promising. But listen to this from CNN. This is Dr. Leanna Wen. Now listen to what she says. We have a window to tie reopening policy to vaccination status. There's only a window because God forbid they reopen and then it turns out actually everything went fine. Then everything is shot to shit. This whole plan is never going to work. Governor Abbott lifts mask mandate, opens Texas 100%. This is the kind of thing that will screw up the plans completely. Because look at Texas. How are they doing? Removed their mask here in March. What happened? Catastrophe? I don't think so. How about deaths? Have they gone up? No, they haven't. Another state that's not going along with the program is Florida. I mean, there's about 15 or 16 of them at this point. Florida, no statewide order. They actually, the government barred local governments from assessing fines and penalties for non-compliance. As in, they cannot give people fines for not wearing masks. Moreover, the Florida governor recently banned COVID-19 vaccine passports. So how's Florida doing? And they're the ones that had spring break with all those people there. Cases went up a little bit. It doesn't look like a catastrophe to me yet. Well, the deaths are still on a downward trend. This is what they mean when they say a window of opportunity. If states reopen without full vaccine coverage or whatever else they want, and this is what happens, then nobody's going to buy the narrative that you need the vaccine to get your freedom back. This is what they want, right? So look, Israel, here's what you have to look forward to. Go check out this page on Israel. It's called Radiant Israel. I think the guy runs like a touring company. And he's got these videos here where he's explaining what's going on. Now, like 90% of adults in Israel have had to take this shot to get this pass, without which you really can't do anything. But he's saying it's like a medical apartheid. Okay, so here's the worst part. According to him, people were led to believe that if they got these shots, everything would reopen, life would go back to normal, and that would be the end of it. But it's turning out that that's not the case. Israel's looking to buy more booster shots of the COVID vaccine, and what they're saying basically, so it's turning out that they're expecting that people are going to need another dose and another dose probably every 6 months. The vaccines we have, no one knows how long they last. We need to prepare for the worst scenario. The worst scenario is that we have to vaccinate every half year. So rather than being the end, the vaccine rollout pretty much is just the beginning of the foreseeable future. And you're going to have to keep getting your boosters if you want to keep your green pass. This here is the same as this agenda, because the agenda goes way beyond flattening the curve, keeping the hospitalizations down, the deaths down, the vaccines up. It doesn't, even all that stuff. Like, no matter how much we comply, it's never going to be enough. The goal is a social credit system. This has to do with Agenda 2030. Social credit system. You need to get everyone on the grid. You need to get everyone on this, on an app. And it's going to be just like China. And then eventually there's going to be digital currency. It's all going to be tied into your social credit app and your pass. And you won't be able to do anything without it. So that's why it doesn't really matter what we do. They're trying to go forward with this kind of agenda. They're just going to keep moving the goalpost. And, doesn't matter how much you comply. You're just going to find that they're asking you to do something else. Anyhow, I hope that you found that interesting and useful. Thank you for liking the video. Thanks for your support on Patreon. Don't forget to check out the link for these, which eliminate the odors, I promise. And thanks for letting me know what you think. And thanks for listening to me. And I'll see you next time.